Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. Well, this morning, in fact, this week, we're going to be discussing being a doer of the word, not just a hearer only. You know, some things we hear and we acknowledge, like forgiveness and loving people that are not lovely, and we sometimes make excuses why that doesn't apply to us when the word says different. Well, this morning we'll start in Luke chapter 6. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do the things which I say? Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood rose, the stream beat vehemently against that house and could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But he who heard and did nothing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Now, both houses looks the same. You couldn't tell the difference, except that one had a deep foundation and the other did not. So when the storm came, that's how you told. Now, the key here is dug deep. It takes more time. And I remember years back, a pastor by the name of Anselm Matabuko from Nigeria spoke at our church and said that when you're digging for a skyscraper, you dig very deep. And I remember from my time working in Manhattan, in New York City, that you would go by a building site and there would be way down in the bottom, there would be a huge hole, and they would be working on the bottom on building the foundation for a large building. And he said, well, if you're going to build a bungalow, though, you can build it any way you want. You don't need a foundation. But that is going to stay small because it can't withstand greater weight. So hearing only does not work. You must be hearing and obey. Now, James chapter 2 says this, how do you want to know, a foolish man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son on the altar? Do you see that faith was working perfectly together with his works, and by works faith was made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed God and was accounted to him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of God. Now, likewise, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them on another way? Well, I loved the character of Rahab because Joshua chapter 2, we see her, and she makes a deal with the messengers because she hid them. Remember, she's a harlot. Her house is on the wall, so everybody knows who she is and what she does. And she basically says, I need you to spare me, myself, and my family, every member of my family, so that when you come back, and she made them swear to the Lord. Now that's interesting, because we know that she's a Canaanite. She lives in Canaan. She's in Jericho. She's not a Jew, but she makes them swear by the Lord. Now what we see is something interesting. Now, of course, we know that she hides them. Then when they come back, they rescue her from the destruction at Jericho. But in Matthew chapter 1, when we see the lineage and the genealogy of Jesus, what we see is Nahshon begot Salmon, and Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. So all of a sudden we see that David's great-great-grandmother is actually Rahab the harlot. Now that's interesting because in the lineage of David, which is the lineage of Jesus, we see two very interesting characters. One is Rahab, who is a Canaanite, and the other is Ruth, who is a Moabite. Neither of whom are Jewish, but become sanctified by their actions. So talk about redemption. Rahab becomes David's great-great-grandmother and a building block in the lineage of Christ. So it's interesting how that God used something that remote and that unusual to get his purposes done. God bless you, and we'll see you again next time.